It is Saturday, April 18th at 4:34 p.m. And I'm going to go get some chicken from Popeyes for me and my husband because I have been busting my ass on my yard in the front all day, and I got everything done except the sides by the garage, but the front looks really good. And I want to plant some flowers, and I will post the before and after pictures at the end of this video if I can figure out how to do that. And yes, I'm in my nightgown because I'm going through the drive-thru and I can barely walk. So, and I was out there. I have these rose bushes that I absolutely love, and I moved in November, and like whatever year it was, and my dad died that following February. It's been about 4 years now, and I was after my dad died in April, the roses started blooming like crazy, and they never after that bloomed before June, and I don't know why. Late May, early June. I don't know what made that do that and what didn't, but I figured it was my dad saying hello, because at the time my stepmother was still living, and she said that his favorite flower was the rose, especially the yellow rose. And my husband had planted 2 yellow rose bushes up in the front of the house, which I'll show you later once I get that done. And those bloomed like crazy right after they were planted, all around the same time. And they bloomed all summer, and they were just gorgeous. And so I've always equated roses with my dad and him saying, hey, I'm around, I'm here, I haven't left you, you just can't find a way through the veil other than things that he tries to send messages through flowers and birds and stuff, because we're Native American, and birds, they big time, they speak to me, and I know it's my ancestors. So, and there was something that happened. There's 2 things that have happened in the last couple of weeks. I have seen a bald eagle flying above me in a place where it should never be. It would never be, and this has been twice in different parts of town, just out of nowhere. And then there were places that I ran into trains, and in places it's like the tracks are there, but trains never go by. It's like, if they do, it's 3 in the morning, and it never happens during the day. And it's been a few times a week in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And the other day, it was so weird where it was. I was sitting there, it was a really long train, and I was sitting there, and I was going to pick somebody up, and I was sitting there waiting, and I was thinking out in my heart, I really wasn't saying anything, I was watching these trains, and I said, well, God, what the hell does this mean? Why you keep sending me trains? And then it dawned on me, my dad and my maternal grandfather, his name was Shelby, both retired from the railroad. And it was like, oh my God moment. It was just like, wow. And here's what I'll tell you. I felt like, and I've never had these goosebumps, have always been on the outside for me. My insides broke out in goosebumps. It was just the wildest feeling. And it just stopped me in my tracks on everything while I'm watching this train go by. And it was like, oh, I think they're trying to tell me that they're all around me, them and my ancestors and all the other people that I love that are with the Lord now or in heaven or wherever you think they go. They're all there. They're all around me. I can't see them, but they're there. And I need to calm down and slow down and watch when these signs come up. And it blew me away. So today I'm out playing in my garden, which anybody that knows me knows I'm getting ready to plant my flowers. And I always think about the prayers I have when I'm planting and when I'm working on my garden, because I feel in my heart these flowers are unanswered prayers. And then as they start blooming, they're the answered prayers. And I don't always take the time to connect what prayer was answered. Sometimes it's months later I turn around and look back and go, wow, that actually happened? Dang. You know, it just blows me away. So I was out there, and like I said, I'm Native American. There's birds all around me. And I'm sitting there picking through the weeds, trying to get rid of them. And I'm thinking about even when I first got sober, when I was 23 years old. I'll be 40 years sober this year, I think. Anyways, do the math. July 5th, 1986. I think it's 40. It's either 39 or 40. Anyways, I've been sober all this time. But I had to do a lot of work on myself. There were a lot of weeds that needed to be pulled. And I was trying to... This is so much me. I'm out here. I'm dealing with these rose bushes that are being strangled by these frickin' little ivy vines. I hate them. And I read that you can't kill them because you'll kill the rose bush. So I'm like, okay. And it says pretty much you're screwed. You just have to manually pull them. And these damn things are frickin' smart. They get right up to the base of the rose bush, surrounded by all these thorns. And so you're trying to get all these, and they're twisted up in the rose bush, and it's trying to strangle the vine. And I was thinking about when I got sober and all the work. If I chose to stay sober, I had to do a lot of work on myself. Some people would call it shadow work, working the 12 steps, whatever you identify it as. But this was not an easy thing to do. This was... I remember when I first got sober, there were people God put in my life. This man, Lewis Knoch McHenry, a Native American man. He was like a grandfather to me, I guess. I mean, I loved him dearly. We hung out in meetings. But this guy, and you got to understand, I was 23 years old. I come off the streets and doing all kind of stuff. And I thought, man, we're good for one thing and nothing else. And here's this guy, Lewis, is what I knew him by. And his sister happened to be my sponsor. Her name was Carla Mae McHenry. And they're both with the Lord now. But Lewis would just pop up out of nowhere, and he would call me on the phone, and he would out of nowhere. I could be at work, and he would call me at work. What are you doing? Working. When's your lunch break? I don't know, 2 o'clock or whatever time it was. Well, I'll be up there and we're going to have lunch together. I'm going to buy it. I want to talk to you. And he would just show up like that. And I was so young and so scared and so... I didn't trust anybody. I thought I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And this man just loved me. He didn't do anything. He didn't try anything. He would just buy me lunch. And we would talk about anything, nothing and everything all at once. And one night one day he called me and he said, I need you to go speak at a meeting in Shoto. I'm like, okay, give me the address. So I found this town. It was like an hour away from me. And on the way, my car broke down or something. I don't remember what it was. Somehow, Lewis found me. And I don't know how he found me. I remember this. He just showed up. He was like an angel for me or something. And he... anyways, it might have broke down in town. I don't remember, but he ended up taking me back to Tulsa. I had to ride with him to this place and ride with him back. And here I am, 23, 24 years old. I had a hot boyfriend that I was wanting to go play with that night, and I did not want to be tossed aside. I didn't want that to not happen. And, you know, because back then, men fixed me. That's not true anymore, believe me. Oh Lord, years of stuff. Anyways, he's telling me this stuff, and I can remember listening to him halfway and thinking, why am I hearing this right now? And then a couple of weeks later, I got a call that he had died. And I never thought of him as an ancestor. And I was out here fucking with the weeds and cussing them and thinking my whole life, especially when I got sober, but even now, those damn ivy things, the roots on them are so freaking deep. And I was thinking, Andrea, that's exactly what it's like when you got sober. The things that you reacted to, the things that drove you out to drink and drug and do other crazy stuff. That's how deep those roots were. And it took you a long time to dig those roots up and dig those things up that were... Just like the rose bush was getting choked with all this old crap, ivies, I was getting choked with all this crap in my life. And it took me a long time, and I would think I'm never going to get better. And then suddenly one day I'd realize all the baby steps I took turned into a massive change. I could tell you all kinds of things. And I was thinking about shadow work or working the steps or whatever you want to call it. Sometimes the hardest thing is to dig deep, real deep, and change. Pull that up by its root and get it out of me and change. And I just was thinking about Lewis, and he taught me that. Carla May taught me that. She was like Lewis in female form. She would just show up. Oh, God told me to come find you. She didn't even know how. I don't even know how she found me half the time. I probably left breadcrumbs. Dad always said I did. But those two people I'm so grateful for. And when I thought, because I'm 10 foot tall and bulletproof still sometimes, that I could just whip out all this weeding and stuff that I needed to do to get my flower beds ready to plant flowers. And my body said no. and I didn't get the two sides on the garage. And I was like, and my body was just screaming bloody murder toward the end of it. But in my heart, in here, it's called the pineal gland, but it's the part where I think God lives. Okay, whatever. I heard, it's okay, it'll all get done. Just do what you can. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, it wasn't perfect. Well, your work is never perfect, Andrea. But whatever isn't perfect, I'll take care of. I heard God tell me that. And I am just tears right here. I wanted to sit down and cry out of gratitude, out of looking back, because all the time I've been driving around places for 2 weeks, and I lived all over town, and every time I would stop somewhere, a memory would come up, and I've been asking God or the universe, why do I have to remember all this stuff? Because some of it hurt, some of it was good, but a lot of it hurt. And I heard God tell me, because you have to rip the roots up, finally. And so, and I here's what I think. Doing work on yourself and on your spirit is like peeling the layer of an onion. More will be revealed, more will be revealed, more will be revealed. It has taken me 39 years of sobriety to finally get to the bottom of things, to the bottom of the root where I can pull it out. And that's what I've felt like, is that God just continues to heal me. So, sorry, I had to stop and grab my chicken at the window. Anyways, so I was out there picking weeds and thinking about all this stuff, and thinking about all these people who have, sometimes they just drop in my life for a minute. Sometimes they drop in my life for a long time. And so I was, and I was out there without my hearing aids in. I don't hear well without my hearing aids, so it was just me in my head, or my heart, or the God part of me. And I was thinking, because I've been doing meditations to activate the pineal gland, and you have to read up about it, but to me it's where God lives, okay? That's all I know how to say. And it's where, it's just like the Holy Spirit, everything inside of me is right there. And so I'm thinking about that, and all of a sudden I hear the loudest caw, caw. It was a raven. I know their sound with my hearing aids in. And I'm thinking, I'm hearing this without my hearing aids on. Okay. So I'm like, I stop, and I'm looking around, and I have a picture, I'll post it. And I turned around from my little seat I was on and looked, and he was up in the tree across from me, cawing so loud, like crazy. And it was like, I know that's my dad. When that comes, I know that's my dad. And I felt in my heart, Andrea, pay attention to the signs. You're doing great. We're proud of you. That's what I heard. And I just sat there like with my mouth open, just blown away at. And I know some people don't believe that people come back to you as symbols or something, but I believe it with all my heart, because I've seen it too many times. And so you know, I was trying to get everything done and I couldn't get it done, and I 'cause my body was just not cooperating with me, and that's okay. I got most of it done, and the rest of it I can get done. Because see, I got in my heart the other day, I want flowers. I always plant flowers. They're in my heart. They belong to me. And I'm okay right now. I don't have $1 million or anything, and I don't have a job yet, but I'm okay. And I think that I could afford to get flowers and get them planted and get some Miracle-Gro. And I was thinking about that the other day, and I swear I heard God or the universe or something say, stop living in lack, Andrea. You're going to be taken care of. And I'm like, okay. And then I watched a video. I was sitting down resting, and I watched a video, and it just popped up, and the gist of it was that sometimes, because I was 23 when I lost my hearing, and I'm not completely deaf, but I'm deaf enough that if you know me and I don't have my hearing aids in, you will hate trying to communicate to me. I read lips, and if you're in another room, maybe you could sometimes be in another room, and I'll hear it, and I don't know why. Sound waves travel weird, and people are jerks. Most people, when you tell them I'm hearing impaired, please look at me, I read lips, they yell louder. They don't look at you. And so dealing with my hearing loss over the years has been a struggle. And so I'm watching this video, and I have this dream in my heart that everybody will know about soon. But it was like all of a sudden God opened up a door inside of me, and it was like, Andrea, the reason you had hearing loss is because you have the language to speak to the people I want you to help. And when you guys know the dream, you will understand how absolutely freaking beautiful this is. And I am so humbled, so blown away, totally grateful. Even though living with hearing loss is a struggle, I understand now why. And so it's just like there's my raven, there's the trains, there's the eagles, it's like, hello Andrea, here's your sign. And I'm working toward bringing this dream to fruition. It'll happen soon. It's just, I have to trust God in the process. There are things that need to be done, and the timing has to be right, and I know it's going to happen, and I am so completely blown away. Part of it has to do with my creativity, and I was out there digging around in the dirt, and it's like this part of my mind, my heart, whatever it is, this pineal thing was just wide open, and I was like thinking, well, what do I do what am I doing when I feel like that is the most open? You could call it your third eye too, or you could call it your spirit, whatever. It's just that, how do I feel the most completely connected and in the flow of God's holy energy? And it's when I'm creating. And I just sat there for a minute and went, oh. And it's when I'm planting flowers. And it's when I'm doing things with people I love. creating things. It has to do with creativity. And so here I am. I was born in 1962. I think I'm 63. I can't, somewhere around that. And I look at this, my life has been a gnarly, snaky, twisted ball of yarn path. There's never been a point A to point B. It's always been back and forth and upside down and sideways and everything else. And I look at it now from where I'm at now, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's why. And even though some of it I will never understand, I kind of do. And because these nuggets of truth and the sacredness of creativity and the language that I have in creating, God made me that way. And I didn't even realize. And here I am, 63 years old, and I'm just now understanding. And part of me thinks, well, you're too old for this. And then God throws a video at me the other day of a bunch of people who had found success in their 60s and 70s and 80s. Blam, Andrea, here's your sign. So when it happens, it's going to be awesome. And if the visions that I've had about it happen, I'm going to be so blown away I ain't going to know how to talk about it, probably. Or maybe I will. Maybe I'll shout it from the mountaintops. But God has showed me some things. And I feel so humbled because I always think, well, why would he pick me? That little 23-year-old girl that thought she wasn't worth anything comes back. And I think now it's changed to, well, why wouldn't he? So, anyways, I just wanted to put this out here, and you know, I don't know if any of it made any sense to anybody, but it makes sense to me. And you know, I think that we all have a divine appointment. I'll have to tell you about that word later. There's another word about it. But yeah, and we're never going to miss it because God won't let us. He won't miss it. So, anyways, whoever's crazy enough to stay this long and listen to my blather, I appreciate it. To my kids and grandkids and loved ones, husband, all of them, I love you guys. You know that, my friends. I really do, and I don't use those words lightly. I really do love you. So I will check out and talk to you later.